What's going on, guys? It's Justice here and welcome back to Runescape. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through again my Completionist Cape progress. So the first requirement I managed to tick off the list since the last episode is in relation to the Zaros crystals in Runescape. You have to go around and collect the Zaros crystals. I think another requirement was to collect the Seren ones, but I already did that. And this is, well, a very confusing place. And to be honest, a lot of guides out there didn't actually show you the full route. They just showed you where the crystal was, and I was like, how do I actually get to that point? So anyway, had to work it out, went through it, eventually managed to complete the Zaros crystals, although when I thought I'd collected them all, when I went to place them down in the Sanctum, I think it was, I was missing one crystal, which was just annoying. So then I had to go around and just find out, and I thought, I'm going to have to go around every single position here just to find the one crystal that I need. Luckily, I chose the correct one. I think it was in the Elder Halls, and luckily I managed to just think, right, I'll probably just miss this one. Went to the Elder Halls and collected the very last crystal. So that's another comp rec ticked off the list. I then was in Discord with a few mates while doing some completionist requirements, and one of them mentioned that his friend PM'd him saying there's a crystal impling over at one of the dungeons within Prifddinas. So there's a few resource dungeons that you can go into, and this crystal impling was there in a specific world, and I just logged off, got into that world ASAP and just legged it as fast as I could, teleported, got to the resource dungeon and managed to catch a crystal impling, and his mate actually turned up there a little bit later on. I think that it'll be on the clip right now on the video, and I just thanked him so much. I mean, this crystal impling is the rarest one that you have to catch, and there will be a list that probably pops up on the screen as well of the remaining implings that I still need to go and capture for this requirement. And it's all for this guy in Prifddinas. And you know, the crystal impling, I've heard some really terrible stories around how long it's taken people to actually, you know, find this impling. And actually one of my friends in the Discord channel at the time was saying it took him 2 weeks of just constantly looking around specific areas, so the resource dungeons and specific areas in Prifddinas for that crystal impling. Finally managed to get it. A thought was, you know what, I'm going to go and stream this and get some viewers involved, but then I realized there's bound to be that one person who just tries to get there before me when someone spots it just to rub it in my face. So I was like, that's not going to happen. So anyway, very lucky here and managed to tick that one now off the list. I've got like a couple of others to get. I think the next hardest one for me to get is the spirit impling. Potentially, but I'll probably just go to that place where all the implings are in that like hayfield place, and I'll just catch the remaining ones there. Moving on to the Myric Memorial statues, which I managed to complete, and these were probably the most annoying thing ever in terms of, you know, on the outlook of it, it's like, oh cool, yeah, 10 statues. You know, you just got to build them. It'll probably take me around 15 minutes. Just need to get the relevant materials. Now, when this requirement first came out, a lot of completionists were obviously pretty salty around it because they had to wait 10 days because you could only do one statue a day. But once you actually talk to the guy, after 10 days have passed, you didn't have to do a statue each day. Once 10 days were passed, you could then do them all in one go. So I did this quest a long time ago. I think it was in relation to the River of Blood quest, and 10 days have passed, so I could just do it all in one go. The hardest, most annoying thing about this one was trying to get the Evandus flail back, which for some reason wasn't in my bank. I must have dropped it because I thought I wouldn't need this again because I thought I'm never going to go for comp. So I must have dropped it, and that was very frustrating to get back. Loads of different requirements. I basically did like a third of the quest or something just to get the Evandus flail back. So redid those parts of the quest. Also, the holy water, oh my god. So frustrating, especially when my mate says go to the monastery and talk to a monk because that sounds the right thing to do when it wasn't. Thank you, Kieran. But honestly, it was pretty hilarious on Discord just doing these requirements with my mates, and finally managed to get the holy water. So as you can see on screen, me making the statues right now, so many random items in the inventory for this one, and what I thought would take 15 minutes took me about 2 hours. Now moving on to the most dreaded requirement known to mankind, the trio mission. I have still yet to get one trio mission to complete this requirement. I'm in the process of completing flipping 2 or 3 storylines right now, in before trim, I know, but I'm completing quite a few trios right now and managed to come across another one. So I decided to add an effect on this one, which you can get from doing random events, and I think you can get them from doing the Motherlode more as well. So this add effect option allowed me to get an extra 6% on my voyage, sent it off at 67%, hoping for the best. But yeah, you guessed it, it did fail, and that's the second failure now in a row on this storyline. A quick update on the arc. I'm pretty certain I've got all of the materials that I need, but I might have to just keep going to my large island to get more. I'm not quite sure. I've not really worked it out, but this is the bank right now in terms of how many items I've got. I've got a few wobbegongs in there. I've got the Alea salt. I've got the golden bamboo, so I've got quite a few different resources in there. I just need to work it out, and potentially I've managed to complete this very AFK-able requirement. Just a random clip to pop into this video. Julius, a mate of mine, using his Vitalis on his baby troll due to the Vit update coming out soon, created by Jax Ramen, where it'll now be within your pet interface and you'll no longer be able to obtain more than one Vitalis, this controversial subject which has always been in the game since the release of Virago. And a way in which people were obtaining a second Vit was by placing their first one in their house, and the game thought that, you know, they didn't have one anymore, and so Virago could drop another ancient summoning stone for that person. The Wilderness Task Diary set. I've got to admit, I was pretty excited around this content just to be able to go out and explore the wilderness again. I did all this with the game audio on. They were extremely easy, though no real challenging tasks in there, to be honest. And I also thought there would be more griefers, but there weren't as many, or I didn't experience as many, and I did it within the first 2 days of release. So that was alright, but I know they did exist around the Revenant area, as you'll see in a clip later on. But I managed to get the wilderness task completed. Probably took me about 2 hours max to do it. Make sure you plant your bloodweed seed with super compost ASAP first if you haven't done this task set yet, because that takes about 18 minutes to grow. The most enjoyable task for me was killing revenants in the Farinthi dungeon. And I'd never killed them before, despite this huge history behind the Revenants, and, you know, when they were changed and put into the wilderness, and, you know, that the whole PKing sort of culture around the Revenants as well. So I'd never killed them before, went out there, got to admit, I enjoyed the experience, you know, doing a bit of combat for a change within a requirement for the Completionist Cape, and, you know, it was an interesting area. So I managed to kill the last rev that I needed. I went back, I had one rev I needed to kill, which I missed out at some point, and hence why it took so long for me to complete this task diary set. I had one last rev. I didn't know which rev I had to kill, so I was just going through it in a chronological order. I was up to the Hobgoblin, I think, at the time. A PK came and actually attempted to PK me and did, in fact, successfully kill me, but just after I had killed the rev that I needed. So as I died, I also got a drop as well. Wasn't quite sure how much that ended up being worth, but it could have been worth a minimum of 250k. But ended up getting PK, teleported to Edgeville, and I was the happiest guy in the world when I realized that I'd actually completed my task diary set. And so I finished the Wilderness Diary set on a high and was pretty happy about not having to go back there and deal with that, because I was doing this on stream, hence why I got PK'd, stream sniped. Feels bad, man, but also feels very good knowing that I completed the task diary set right before I got PK'd. So again, the final thing, not really related to completionist progress, but it is related to my own personal progress in the game in relation to PVMing and raids. So as you guys are aware, I set up this raiding team. I'm having such a blast with this raiding team. Again, I'll probably leave a highlight of the actual live footage in the Twitch chat replay of me getting this Achto Drop. So I did manage to finally get an Achto Drop. This is the first Achto Drop, or the first drop I've had with this raiding team. It's been a long time since I've had an Achto Drop at this place, and it is ridiculous, to be honest. I'm gonna move away. Every time I think of the drop system, I'm just like, what the heck were Jax thinking? I just really bizarre, like how there should be at least 4 bosses in the game, and when you play other MMOs as well, this really isn't really classed as a raid. But, you know, despite all of that, I set up this team just so I could have a laugh, and I've got to say that is the main goal and the main outcome that I've had from doing this, and I'm going to keep doing it because I literally log on to have a great laugh with mates and do a raid, and, you know, the drops are definitely a bonus at the end of it. So anyway, managed to get my Achto Drop. Achto Terralith boots, so that's all of the boots now that I have, and I have Achto Primeval gloves. So the next gloves I'm going to get, or the next drop I'm going to get, should be either Terralith or Tempest gloves. So yeah, that's the next episode of my Completionist Cape progress over the past sort of couple of weeks. I just want to say thank you as well for 5 million views. That's just insane. I've just literally passed that milestone. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all of the consistent viewership from you guys and the view time that you guys are actually, you know, committing to this channel. So thank you so much for that. And I'll see you all in the next video.